Well, hi, Tiffany. Good evening. We're live tonight at the intersection of Blair's Ferry and 380. And as you're well aware, a popular hotspot for panhandlers. But as you drive by, have you ever asked yourself, what's the story behind these signs? Are they really homeless? Do they really have a family to support? Are they telling the truth? Well, I can tell you after our investigation, the answer to those questions for at least 3 beggars is no. Steve, I thought you were homeless. Got a pretty big house.
Are you jealous that you don't got one, punk?
This man's angry.
Why don't you go mind your business and get the out of my yard?
And upset that CBS 2 is about to uncover his story. He's a registered sex offender banned from begging in other Iowa cities. His name is Stephen Clausen. He's the ringleader of a group who plays on your emotions. Clausen makes money begging with at least 2 other guys. They seem to be desperate with nowhere to turn.
Gives me one more day that I can survive.
Chances are you've driven by, glanced, and read their stories. Stories tightly held on to, silently being told.
Sitting on the corner is degrading and it's embarrassing, but I got to do it to live.
A story that panhandlers like Ronald Snipes says pulls at the hearts of those who drive by.
Yeah, I got family, and I got to take care of them.
It's because of that you tried getting a job?
Yeah, don't last. I wound up blowing up, going up.
Ronald Snipes says he spent the past 6 months begging for cash.
I've made maybe 60, 70 bucks.
In hopes to find a place to live. How often do you panhandle?
I don't know, a couple times a week maybe. I try not to.
What Ronald won't tell you is a secret he shares only with those he knows best, those who share his corner.
I learned one of the oldest professions in the world, and it has helped.
Perhaps it's helped a little too much. Turns out the story written on this piece of cardboard is a carefully thought out lie. CBS 2 News. Ronald home? Ronald, are you Ronald?
No, I'm not. Who are you?
I'm Chris Jose with CBS 2 News in Cedar Rapids. Does Ronald live here?
Yes, he does.
Where's he at?
Hold on, I'll get him.
Okay. Before we get to Ronald, do you remember this man? Look familiar? Here you can see him talking to Ronald on the median by the road ranger. Hey, Ron?
No, he'll be right here.
Okay.
My name's Steve.
His name is Steve Stonehawker, and just like Ron, he panhandles in Cedar Rapids.
If people are good-hearted and want to give, you could probably pull 100 easy.
The money is so good, Ron and Steve drive 180 miles round trip to make some fast cash. You're not really homeless.
Not fully, no.
So we went to the Quad Cities to find out their real stories. Ron and Steve say they're homeless, but they live inside this apartment complex right here in Davenport. You can see they clearly have a roof over their heads. They make the trip to Cedar Rapids in this blue truck right here, and they come home with a lot of money. But they say it's a third person in Davenport that's the mastermind behind the scheme.
This man stands on Center Point Road taking down $200-300 a day and puts people on roads where they're barely making 10.
That man is Stephen Clausen, a registered sex offender with a long rap sheet who also lives in Davenport. His crimes include sexual exploitation of a minor 14 years ago, assault, and theft.
He's dangerous and a threat to society. And
we spoke to Clausen undercover first as he was panhandling in Cedar Rapids. 2 other times we talked to him without our cameras rolling, and every time his story changed. When he stands in Cedar Rapids, he claims he's homeless with 3 kids. And it's not true.
Bust me, you mother mouth, I ain't scared of you.
He owns this house in Davenport assessed at $40,000. No one's ever seen his kids.
One little scheme, that's all it takes.
His friends are quick to rat him out.
treats it as a sport.
Saying his version of work starts with an early morning drive from Davenport. If anyone wants to come along for the ride, the other beggars say Clausen charges them $30 each. Greg Jager is the Bettendorf city attorney, and he's seen Clausen operate for years.
Panhandling turns out to be lucrative, and it's easier than working a minimum wage job.
Bettendorf has an ordinance that forces panhandlers to register if they want to beg in city limits. Jager says Clausen is banned from panhandling in Bettendorf because of troubling threats he made to another panhandler.
That he would go somewhere else and continue to try to panhandle is not necessarily surprising.
According to Clausen's friends, he's right. He said that he makes about $300 a day up in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, sometimes more. Come home with a stack of money.
But the group doesn't always come home. The day before Easter, we followed the trio, and they ended up spending part of their cuts at this auto parts store. And just when you thought they were headed home, they end up sharing a room at this Motel 6 in Cedar Rapids. So when we followed Clausen's trail from Cedar Rapids to Davenport, he wasn't happy to see us.
Why don't you go find your business, get the out of my yard?
The Davenport police arrived a few minutes later to calm Clausen down. He agreed to do an interview with us earlier in the day, but then never showed. Clausen will beg for your hard-earned money, but he doesn't like the spotlight. So he's taking advantage of the people of Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
Yes, he owns his own house. He rents rooms out for $275 to $300 a month. Plus, he owns 5 or 6 cars.
Ronald Snipes is quick to expose his friend, but remember, Snipes is not homeless either. He even admits it.
I already been homeless. That's just as bad as being homeless.
And while we might never know what these panhandlers do with their pockets full of cash, you can bank they're not telling you the truth. And I spoke to the Bettendorf city attorney because right now the city of Bettendorf has a law in place that requires panhandlers to be licensed. And according to him, it's greatly reduced the amount of beggars on their streets. Now, coming up tomorrow, we plan to ask the city of Cedar Rapids if that's something they can implement right here at home. Reporting live tonight in Cedar Rapids, Chris Jose, CBS 2 News.